Kevin was no stranger to hard times. A freelance artist trying to make ends meet, he spent most of his days juggling odd jobs while dreaming of a breakthrough in the art world. On this particular evening, after hours of delivering flyers in the freezing rain, he trudged toward the bus stop, soaked and exhausted. As he approached, he noticed a woman standing alone, hugging herself tightly against the biting wind. Her coat seemed too thin for the weather, and she shivered visibly, her breath forming clouds in the frosty air. Something about her quiet resilience struck Kevin. Without thinking twice, he stepped closer. "Excuse me," he said softly, shrugging off his worn but warm jacket. "Here, take this. You look like you need it more than I do." The woman turned to face him, startled by the offer. For a moment, she hesitated, clearly unused to accepting help from strangers. But the chill won out, and she accepted the jacket with a small, grateful smile. "Thank you," she murmured, pulling it around her shoulders. "I'll give it back as soon as I can." "No rush," Kevin replied warmly, though he doubted he'd ever see her again. "Just stay warm." They exchanged names briefly. Hers was Victoria, and shared a few polite words before the bus arrived. As she boarded, Kevin watched her go, feeling a flicker of satisfaction despite his own discomfort. He didn't know it then, but his simple act of kindness would change both their lives forever. As the bus pulled away from the curb, Victoria clutched Kevin's jacket tightly around her shoulders. The warmth it provided was more than physical. It reminded her of a kindness she hadn't experienced in years. In her world of high-stakes meetings, endless deadlines, and constant pressure, moments like this were rare. She glanced out the window, catching one last glimpse of Kevin standing at the bus stop, his figure growing smaller as the bus drove off. There was something about him, his quiet generosity, the way he gave without expecting anything in return, that stayed with her long after the rain-soaked streets disappeared behind her. Back at her penthouse apartment later that night, Victoria hung the jacket carefully on a chair, staring at it thoughtfully. It wasn't much, a simple, slightly worn piece of clothing, but it carried weight far beyond its material value. She couldn't stop thinking about the man who had offered it so freely, despite clearly needing it himself. Who was he? What kind of person gives away their only source of warmth to a stranger? And why did his gesture leave such a deep impression on her? The next morning, as Victoria prepared for another busy day at the office, she found herself distracted. Her assistant handed her a stack of reports, but her mind kept drifting back to the previous evening, to the cold wind, the shivering woman she had been, and the stranger who had shown her unexpected compassion. During a meeting with her team, Victoria struggled to focus. Normally sharp and decisive, she found herself zoning out, replaying the brief conversation she'd had with Kevin. His name echoed in her mind, along with the sincerity in his voice when he said, "Just stay warm." After the meeting ended, Victoria returned to her desk and picked up the jacket again. This time, she noticed something tucked inside the pocket, a small business card dampened by the rain. Carefully unfolding it, she read the faded text, "Kevin Myers, freelance artist and designer." Below that was a phone number and email address. Her heart raced with curiosity. Was this the same Kevin? Had fate given her a way to find him? For the rest of the day, Victoria wrestled with indecision. Should she reach out? Would he even remember her? Part of her worried it might come across as intrusive or strange. But another part, the part that still felt the lingering warmth of his jacket, knew she couldn't let it go. That evening, sitting alone in her apartment, Victoria made up her mind. She would track him down, not just to return the jacket, but to thank him properly. After all, his act of kindness had touched her deeply, reminding her of values she had almost forgotten in the whirlwind of her career. Using the contact information on the card, she searched online for any traces of Kevin Myers. To her surprise, she discovered a few social media posts showcasing his artwork, sketches, paintings, and designs filled with emotion and creativity. Though raw and unpolished, his talent was undeniable. Victoria felt a pang of admiration. Here was someone struggling to make ends meet yet pouring his soul into his craft. His art spoke of resilience, hope, and humanity. The very qualities she admired in the man who had given her his jacket. By the time she went to bed that night, Victoria had decided two things. First, she would return the jacket personally. Second, she wanted to learn more about Kevin, not just as an artist but as a person. Little did she know, their paths were about to cross again in ways neither could have anticipated. The next day, Victoria took matters into her own hands. Armed with the business card and what little information she had gathered online, she set out to find Kevin. It wasn't easy. His social media profiles were sparse, and his contact details seemed outdated, but determination drove her forward. After a few phone calls and some discreet inquiries, she finally tracked him down to a small apartment on the outskirts of the city. The neighborhood was modest, with narrow streets lined by aging buildings, a stark contrast to the sleek skyscrapers where she spent most of her time. Standing outside his door, Victoria hesitated for a moment. What if he didn't remember her? Or worse, what if he thought she was overstepping by showing up unannounced? Taking a deep breath, she knocked gently. A few seconds later, the door opened, revealing Kevin. He looked surprised to see her, dressed in a tailored coat and holding his slightly worn jacket neatly folded in her arms. "Victoria?" he asked, clearly puzzled. "Is everything okay?" "I'm sorry to bother you," she began, smiling warmly. I wanted to return your jacket and thank you properly." Kevin blinked, taken aback. "You didn't have to come all the way here for that. I meant it when I said no rush." "I know," Victoria replied, stepping inside as he gestured for her to enter. "But I couldn't let it go. Your kindness meant more to me than you realize." As they sat together in Kevin's modest living room, Victoria noticed the details of his life. The sketches pinned to the walls, the half-finished canvas propped against a corner, and the faint scent of paint lingering in the air. Despite the clutter, there was a sense of warmth and creativity that felt inviting. "This is amazing," Victoria said, pointing to one of his pieces. "Your work, it's incredible." Kevin chuckled nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's nothing special, really. Just something I do to keep busy." "It's not nothing," Victoria insisted firmly. "You have real talent, Kevin. Why aren't you showcasing this somewhere bigger?" Kevin shrugged, his expression tinged with frustration. "Talent doesn't pay bills, unfortunately. I've tried galleries, online platforms, even competitions, but unless you know someone or have connections, it's hard to get noticed." Victoria listened intently, her heart sinking at the weight of his words. She knew exactly how difficult it could be to break into competitive industries without support. And yet, here was someone brimming with potential, struggling to make ends meet while pouring his soul into his craft. "Well, maybe that's about to change," she said softly, meeting his gaze. Over the next hour, Victoria shared more about herself, not just as a CEO, but as a person who had once faced her own share of challenges. She told him about her company, which specialized in design and innovation, and how they were always looking for fresh perspectives to inspire their projects. "What if we gave you an opportunity?" she suggested cautiously. "A chance to showcase your work through our platform. We're hosting an exhibition next month, and I think your art deserves to be seen." Kevin stared at her, stunned. "Are you serious? Me? I don't even have a portfolio ready." "That's not a problem," Victoria replied with a reassuring smile. "We'll help you prepare. All you need to do is trust me and believe in yourself." For a moment, Kevin didn't respond. The offer felt too good to be true, like a dream he'd given up on years ago. Yet, looking into Victoria's earnest eyes, he realized she wasn't joking. "Why are you doing this?" he asked finally, his voice tinged with both gratitude and skepticism. "Because I believe in paying it forward," she explained simply. "You reminded me of something important. That success isn't just about climbing higher. It's about lifting others up along the way. And I think the world needs to see what you can create." By the end of their conversation, Kevin agreed to take the leap. Though nervous about stepping into unfamiliar territory, he couldn't deny the spark of hope igniting within him. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to dream again, to imagine a future where his art might reach people beyond his cramped apartment walls. As Victoria prepared to leave, she handed him the jacket one last time. "Keep it," Kevin insisted, shaking his head. "Consider it my way of saying thank you for believing in me." Victoria smiled, touched by his gesture. "Then consider this my way of saying thank you for reminding me what truly matters." With that, she stepped out into the chilly evening, leaving Kevin standing in his doorway, clutching the jacket and feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Little did either of them know, this was only the beginning of a journey that would transform both their lives forever. The days following Victoria's visit were a whirlwind for Kevin. At first, he struggled to believe it was real, that a CEO like Victoria would take such an interest in his work. But as preparations for the exhibition began, her sincerity and dedication became undeniable. Victoria arranged for Kevin to meet with her team at the design company's headquarters, a sleek, modern building that seemed worlds apart from his humble apartment. Walking through its glass doors, Kevin felt out of place among the polished professionals buzzing around him. Yet, Victoria greeted him warmly, putting him at ease almost immediately. "This is where the magic happens," she said with a smile, leading him through the bustling office. "And soon, your art will be part of it." Kevin nodded, trying to absorb everything around him. The walls were adorned with vibrant designs and innovative concepts, proof of the creativity thriving within the company. As they settled into a meeting room, Victoria laid out a plan to help Kevin prepare for the upcoming exhibition. "We'll start by curating your best pieces," she explained, spreading photos of his artwork across the table. "Then we'll work on framing them, creating promotional materials, and even hosting a small launch event. By the time the exhibition opens, your name will be on everyone's lips." Kevin listened intently, both excited and overwhelmed. "I don't know how to thank you for this," he admitted softly. "You already did," Victoria replied, her tone gentle but firm. "By being kind when you didn't have to be. Now, let us do the same for you." Over the next few weeks, Kevin threw himself into preparing for the exhibition. With Victoria's guidance, he refined his existing pieces and created new ones inspired by their collaboration. Themes of gratitude, connection, and resilience emerged naturally in his work, a reflection of the journey he'd been on since that rainy night at the bus stop. Meanwhile, Victoria found herself equally invested in Kevin's success. She spent hours reviewing drafts, offering feedback, and ensuring every detail aligned with his vision. Though busy with her own responsibilities, she made time to check in on him regularly, cheering him on during moments of doubt. "You're going to blow them away," she told him one evening as they reviewed the final layout for the exhibition space. "Trust me, Kevin, people are going to see your heart in these pieces, and that's something no one else can replicate." Her confidence in him was contagious, helping him push past his insecurities. For years, Kevin had doubted whether his art mattered. But now, surrounded by people who believed in him, he began to see its value clearly. As the exhibition date approached, anticipation grew, not just for Kevin, but for Victoria too. She organized an exclusive preview event, inviting influential figures from the art and design world to attend. It was a bold move, but she knew Kevin's talent deserved nothing less than the spotlight. On the morning of the exhibition, Kevin arrived early to oversee the setup. Standing in the gallery, surrounded by his framed artwork illuminated under soft lighting, he felt a mix of pride and disbelief. This wasn't just a showcase. It was proof that dreams could come true, even against all odds. When Victoria joined him later, her eyes sparkled with admiration. "It's perfect," she said, gesturing to the room. "Your story, your heart. It's all here." Kevin smiled faintly, still processing the magnitude of what had happened. "None of this would have been possible without you, Victoria. You didn't just give me an opportunity. You gave me hope. And you reminded me why I started this company in the first place," she replied sincerely. "To create spaces where talent like yours can shine. So really, we're even." That evening, the gallery buzzed with energy as guests poured in to view Kevin's work. Each piece drew gasps of admiration, sparking conversations about its meaning and craftsmanship. By the end of the night, Collectors and critics alike praised Kevin's unique style, calling him a rising star in the art world. For Kevin, the highlight came when a young woman approached him, tears in her eyes. "Your art? It speaks to me," she said softly. "It reminds me that even in hard times, there's beauty worth fighting for." Kevin's throat tightened as he realized the impact his work was having. Not just on others, but on himself. He had poured his struggles, hopes, and dreams into every brushstroke, and now those emotions resonated with strangers in ways he never imagined. Later that night, as the crowd thinned and the lights dimmed, Victoria found Kevin standing alone in front of one of his paintings. "How does it feel?" she asked, joining him. "Unreal," he admitted, shaking his head. "I keep waiting to wake up and find out it's all a dream." "It's not a dream," Victoria assured him, smiling. "This is just the beginning, Kevin. The world is ready for your voice. Don't stop sharing it." Kevin nodded, feeling a surge of determination. For so long, he had doubted his worth. But now, thanks to Victoria's belief in him, he knew he had something valuable to offer. As they left the gallery together, Victoria glanced at him thoughtfully. "You know," she said, "you've taught me something important too." "What's that?" Kevin asked curiously. "That success isn't measured by titles or wealth. It's about making a difference. And tonight, because of you, I remembered why I fell in love with design in the first place." Kevin smiled, realizing how much they had grown. Not just individually, but together. Their partnership had transformed both their lives, proving that kindness and collaboration could lead to extraordinary outcomes. The success of Kevin's exhibition marked the start of a new chapter, not just for him, but for Victoria too. In the weeks that followed, Kevin's artwork gained widespread acclaim. Galleries reached out, offering him opportunities to showcase his pieces in cities across the country. Collectors praised his ability to capture raw emotion, and critics hailed him as a fresh voice in the art world. But despite the growing recognition, Kevin remained grounded. He credited much of his success to Victoria, often reminding anyone who asked that none of it would have happened without her belief in him. "She didn't just give me a platform," he told an interviewer during a televised segment about his rise. "She reminded me that kindness can change lives, including my own." Victoria watched the interview from her office, smiling softly at his words. Though proud of what Kevin had achieved, she couldn't help but reflect on how much she had learned from him too. His humility, resilience, and unwavering optimism inspired her to reevaluate her priorities, both personally and professionally. At work, Victoria began implementing changes within her company, drawing inspiration from Kevin's journey. She launched initiatives aimed at supporting emerging artists and designers, providing them with resources and mentorship similar to what she had offered Kevin. "We're not just building products or brands here," she announced during a team meeting. "We're creating opportunities for ourselves, for others, and for the communities we serve. Let's never forget the power of lifting people up." Her employees responded enthusiastically, embracing the shift toward more meaningful projects. Under Victoria's leadership, the company flourished, not just financially, but culturally. Clients noticed the difference, praising the authenticity and heart behind their campaigns. Meanwhile, Kevin continued working closely with Victoria, collaborating on projects that blended art and design in innovative ways. Together, they created campaigns that resonated deeply with audiences, earning awards and accolades along the way. "It's like our strengths complement each other perfectly," Kevin remarked one afternoon as they reviewed sketches for a new project. "Your vision combined with my creativity. It's unstoppable." "That's because we trust each other," Victoria replied warmly. "And we share the same goal, to make a difference." Outside of work, their bond deepened further. They spent evenings discussing ideas over coffee, weekends exploring galleries and museums, and quiet moments reflecting on how far they'd come. For Kevin, Victoria became more than just a mentor. She was a friend who understood him in ways few others did. And for Victoria, Kevin represented a reminder of what truly mattered: connection, empathy, and purpose. One evening, as they strolled through a park near Kevin's apartment, Victoria turned to him with a thoughtful expression. Do you ever think about how different things might have been if we hadn't met? She asked softly. All the time, Kevin admitted, glancing at her. I probably would have kept struggling, wondering if my art even mattered. And you, well, I'm not sure you'd have rediscovered your passion for helping others. Victoria nodded, her gaze drifting toward the horizon. It's funny how life works sometimes. A single act of kindness, a jacket on a cold night, can lead to all this. And now look where we are, Kevin said, gesturing between them. Changing each other's lives, changing careers, changing perspectives. Victoria smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. Maybe that's the lesson here, that every small gesture has the potential to create ripples. You gave me your jacket, and now we're standing side by side, doing things neither of us could have imagined alone. Kevin chuckled, shaking his head in amazement. Who would have thought? One rainy night changed everything. As months passed, their partnership continued to thrive. Kevin opened his first solo gallery in the city, drawing crowds eager to experience his heartfelt storytelling through art. Victoria attended the opening, beaming with pride as she watched him greet admirers and sign autographs. You've earned this, she whispered to him during a quiet moment. Every bit of it. And so have you, Kevin replied sincerely. This isn't just my success. It's ours. Victoria's eyes filled with gratitude as she hugged him tightly. For years, she had chased achievements and accolades, believing they defined her worth. But now, standing beside Kevin, she realized true fulfillment came not from personal victories, but from sharing them with others. Their story became an inspiration to those around them. Friends, colleagues, and strangers alike marveled at how two seemingly opposite individuals had found common ground and transformed each other's lives in the process. Through it all, Kevin and Victoria remained committed to their shared mission, using their talents to uplift others. Whether through art, design, or simple acts of kindness, they proved that success wasn't just about individual achievement. It was about building bridges and leaving a legacy of compassion. Because sometimes the smallest gestures, like offering a jacket on a cold night, can lead to the most extraordinary journeys. As time went on, Kevin and Victoria's lives became intertwined in ways neither had anticipated. What began as a chance encounter at a bus stop had blossomed into a deep friendship rooted in mutual respect, gratitude, and shared purpose. Their partnership extended beyond work. It shaped how they viewed the world and their roles within it. For Kevin, success brought not just financial stability but also a renewed sense of confidence. He no longer doubted his worth or questioned whether his art mattered. Galleries clamored to showcase his work, collectors sought his pieces, and aspiring artists looked up to him as a role model. Yet, despite the accolades, he remained humble, always crediting Victoria for believing in him when few others did. You changed my life, he told her one evening as they sat together on her apartment balcony, overlooking the city lights. I don't think I'll ever be able to repay you. You already have, Victoria replied softly, meeting his gaze, by reminding me what it means to connect with people, to care about something bigger than myself. That's worth more than any repayment. Kevin smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. Though their worlds were vastly different, they had found common ground in kindness and collaboration, a bond that transcended wealth, status, or background. Victoria, too, experienced a transformation. The pressures of her career no longer consumed her entirely. Instead, she approached her work with a fresh perspective, prioritizing creativity, empathy, and impact over profit margins. Her company thrived under this new philosophy, earning recognition not just for its innovative designs, but also for its commitment to uplifting emerging talent. People are starting to see us differently, she remarked during a casual lunch with Kevin. They're calling us pioneers, not just in design, but in fostering community and connection. That's because you are a pioneer, Kevin said firmly. You took a risk on me when no one else would, and now you're doing the same for so many others. Victoria blushed slightly, brushing off the compliment. It's easy to take risks when you believe in someone, like I believed in you and still do. Their shared laughter echoed between them, a testament to how far they'd come since that rainy night. One day, while reviewing plans for an upcoming project, Victoria turned to Kevin with a thoughtful expression. "I've been thinking," she began cautiously, "about the future, not just mine, but ours." Kevin raised an eyebrow, curious. "What do you mean?" "Well," Victoria continued, choosing her words carefully, "we've accomplished so much together, personally and professionally, but I can't help wondering, where do we go from here? Do we keep working separately? Or is there a way to merge our paths even further?" Kevin hesitated, surprised by her question. "You mean like officially partnering up? Something like that?" Victoria admitted, her voice tinged with nervousness. "We complement each other so well. Your art, my resources. Together, we could create something truly special. Something lasting." The idea lingered between them, sparking excitement and possibility. For years, they had worked side by side, blending their strengths to achieve remarkable results. "Why stop now?" "I'm in," Kevin said finally, smiling brightly. "Let's build something unforgettable." True to their word, Kevin and Victoria launched a joint venture, a creative studio dedicated to merging art and design for social good. Projects ranged from public murals promoting unity to campaigns raising awareness about important causes. Each initiative carried a piece of their shared vision, to use creativity as a force for positive change. Their studio quickly gained attention, drawing collaborators from all walks of life. Artists, designers, activists, and dreamers flocked to join their mission, inspired by the duo's story and commitment to making a difference. Through it all, Kevin and Victoria stayed grounded, never losing sight of why they started this journey together. They celebrated successes, navigated challenges, and continued learning from each other along the way. Years later, as they stood together at the opening of their largest mural yet, a vibrant depiction of connection and resilience, Kevin turned to Victoria with a grateful smile. "We did it," he said softly, gesturing to the crowd gathered below. "All those dreams we talked about, they're real now." "Yes, we did," Victoria agreed, her eyes shining with pride. "But it's not just us, Kevin. Look around. Everyone here has been touched by what we've built together. That's the true legacy. Not what we create, but how it inspires others to carry the torch." Kevin nodded, feeling a surge of fulfillment. From a simple act of kindness on a cold night to a thriving partnership that transformed countless lives, their journey proved that even the smallest gestures could lead to extraordinary outcomes. And as they walked away hand in hand, ready to tackle whatever came next, they knew one thing for certain. Their story was far from over. Because sometimes the greatest achievements aren't measured in awards or accolades, but in the lives we touch and the connections we forge along the way. If Kevin and Victoria's story inspired you, share it with others. Let us know in the comments. How has kindness or collaboration impacted your life? Your stories inspire us to keep creating tales that matter.